Well, you're right then, guys. Today I am making strawberry and black pepper scones. It's a sweet fruity bake with a little kick. And that little kick makes you go, ooh. They're simple and they're summery, and they taste incredible warm with a little butter. And to make these, we need some self-raising flour, cold butter, caster sugar, milk, vanilla essence, fresh strawberries, freshly ground black pepper, and a pinch of salt. And as usual, the ingredients will be flashed up top left on the screen, and the full recipe will be at the end of the video. Okay then, like any scone recipe, this is very, very quick. So line your baking sheet or baking tray with parchment paper and get your oven on preheating to 200 Celsius. Take the tops off about 120 grams of strawberries and finely chop them. I think, apart from the actual cooking, this is the longest part of the recipe. When you need to chop something or slice something that's round in shape, it's always a good idea to cut a flat on one side first. Then you place it on the flat and it stops it rolling around. This happened naturally with the strawberries. Brilliant. Weigh out 300 grams of self-raising flour into a bowl. The bowl needs to be big enough to get your hands in. And we need 60 grams of cold butter. And the butter we're going to cut into tiny little cubes and drop it into the flour. And next up we need to rub the butter into the flour to make sort of fine breadcrumbs. Nothing too fancy, rough enough's good enough for this recipe. Now I used my pastry blender for this one. Two reasons: it stops me getting my hands dirty, but it also stops the butter from getting warm. If the butter gets warm, you get a bad scone. And this is why we use cold butter in the first place. In with 40 grams of caster sugar. In with a generous pinch of salt. Don't leave the salt out, it makes them taste better. And 1 to 2 teaspoons of freshly ground black pepper. In hindsight, I wish I'd added a little bit more. But you know me, I like things a bit warm. You can see how much is on top there. Not quite enough for me, but hey, very nice. And in with your chopped strawberries. Get the flour all over the strawberries. Get them well and truly coated before we start adding the liquids. You can add a bit of vanilla essence if you like. I used a teaspoon for this one. If you haven't got any, it doesn't matter. Leave it out. In with 125 ml of milk. And get everything stirred together, get it all mixed. Start off with a spatula, and when most of it's come together, you can tip it out onto your work surface. No good doing it too early because the flour will go everywhere. Lightly flour your work surface and just bring the mix together. Again, we're not going to overwork it. We do not want this to get warm. So just bring it together with your fingers, pinch it and punch it and flatten it out, and we want it to be about 2 centimetres, just under an inch thick in the end. I'm trying to work as fast as I can here. I'm lucky that my stainless steel sheet is nice and cold, so that helped. And when it's the right thickness, it's time to cut your scones out. I used a 70mm cutter for this. If you can help it, don't twist the cutter. If you twist the cutter, the scones can come up at a funny angle. It is so hard not to. Cut out what you can, reshape the dough, and cut a few more out, and keep going till you've used it all up. I made 7 in the end. Brush the scones with a little milk. You can use egg wash if you want, but that's just one more ingredient, isn't it? Milk works perfectly for scones. And then sprinkle over a generous portion of caster sugar. This gives them a nice crispy topping. And it's away to the oven with them, 12 to 15 minutes at 200 Celsius, or until they're just taking on a little bit of colour. We don't want them too brown. Here we are then. I'll take these off, let them cool down. Okay then, they've cooled down nicely. Not too bad, not too bad. I think we need to taste one. Nice and crumbly. Oh, see the pepper. Okay then, photo done. Let's get stuck in. Lovely. Sweet. And just that little hint of pepper. Oh, yeah. That was a piece of pepper. The crusty top sets it off as well. I gotta say, guys, this is another, yeah, it's another double diggy thumbs up. So surprisingly different yet again. Well, there you are, guys. Strawberry and black pepper scones. Who'd have thought it, eh? Thanks for watching. These were such fun to make, and I'll tell you what, they are tasty. I gave them away to a few neighbours and they all went, ooh, that's different. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you on the next recipe, guys.